Hello everyone. So welcome to this month's episode of scrapbooking or card making for scrapbookers, but actually this is going to be quite a heavy technique card making video. So we're going to use stencils this month, Caitlin and I, because stencils are the featured product at the Rediscover Your Stash Facebook group, and we thought it'd be super fun to create some cards using stencils. So I'm going to use this older stencil. This is actually from Chamel's, I think her True Stories collection, and I added some purple tape and a little bit of adhesive to my stencil, and now I'm going to do some ink blending. So the colors I'm going to blend today are all Distress Oxides. They are Antique Linen and Wild Honey and Vintage Photo. And as you can see here, that Wild Honey is like super vibrant, but don't fret, we're going to tone it down a bit. So I'm just going to go ahead over it again with the Antique Linen, and till I get down to the Vintage Photo, it's going to be all blended out and not look that vibrant. But that was a brand new ink pad. That's the first time I've used it for anything. So it is quite vibrant. It's a vibrant color anyway, but I wanted to tone it down quite a bit so that it's more of a tea color, because that's what we're going for here. So you can see the stamp set we're going to use. It's a stamp set from Alt-New. It's called Tea Time, and I just spritzed my card base with some water. I'm going to blot it off, and then I'm going to set it aside to thoroughly kind of dry a little bit and clean up my area and get set to stamp. So I'm going to do some masking today. I recently finished one of the Alt-New classes for my educator certification, and that was all about building a scene. And so I'm going to use some of the techniques and some of the things I learned in that class to build a scene within my teacup. So I'm starting, because I know I want to mask, the best way to get my masking the way I want it is to physically layer the stamps up, and this helps me to figure out what I need to stamp first, what I need to stamp second, and so on and so forth. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and decide what elements I want in my teacup. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to layer them all up, and then I can set them off to the side, all layered up, and pick them up one by one and mask them off. So I'm going to start with my cup, and I'm going to go ahead and ink that up and stamp it until I have a nice crisp clean image right on my stamp. So this ends up being a one layer card, which is really kind of cool. I'm going to stamp everything twice, and then I'm going to stamp it off again onto masking paper. So my favorite masking paper is from Simon Says Stamp. It comes in these giant sheets, and I think you get 10 sheets in a pack, and you can see how little it gets used. The only thing I will tell you is that if you buy this paper, make sure you figure out what end is up and mark it, because there's nothing worse than stamping the wrong side of the masking paper, because you can't use it then. Okay, so our spoon is stamped and masked, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the teapot next. I am stamping everything with Alt-New permanent black crisp dye ink because I'm going to be coloring, and I think I left most of the coloring in this video even too, so you guys get a really nice card making video today. I usually try to keep it really simple so that my scrapbooking subscribers can also just recreate these cards if they want. But for today's card, I decided to go a little bit more technique heavy. So I have my teapot stamped nice and crisp, and now I'm going to go ahead and stamp my mask for my teapot. And part of stamping my mask and fussy cutting it is that I want the inside of the teapot, inside the handle, to be cut out, because that's going to provide some depth to my layout, to my card, and you'll see that as I continue on here. So I made a little hole, and I'm going to carefully cut all the inside of that handle, and then I'm going to go ahead and get the mask down. And these are actually the only 2 masks that I'm going to use. The rest of the card can just be stamped right down because it's not behind anything. So I'm going to stamp the cup next. And again, same ink, getting it exactly where I want it. And I'm using my Giant Misty for this little cup. Oh well, I'm not buying another one so that I have a smaller one. So we're just going to have a Giant Misty. You'll notice here too, do you remember when I did my A Cherry on Top haul, I bought that Caramel Studios mat, and I got to tell you guys, if you have a Memory Misty, it's fabulous. So you know how the Memory Misty has that, yep, there's Cooper. You know how that the Memory Misty has the paper that you put over the foam? So you can replace the paper completely with this Teapot. And what it basically is it's almost like the Craft It mat, the non-stick material, like with the Tim Holtz does one, and it's sized to put right into your Memory Misty. And then what you end up having is you can do other things on the Misty. So if I wanted to paint on this, I could paint on it. If I wanted to put a 12 by 12 layout in there and do like some mixed media on it, I could do that. Like, it's really cool. I'm super happy with it. It's kind of a neat tool to have if you have a Misty. Okay, so I pulled off the masking paper and you can see our amazing design there. And now I just centered my greeting right there underneath my little scene with the black ink. And I'm going to go ahead now and we're going to color. So I'm going to be coloring using my Tombow dual brush pens. You can see that I have this little laminated, it's kind of like a palette, but what I did was I took some, I took like a Sharpie marker, alcohol marker, and I marked all the colors that I have on that wheel. So then I know what shades I'm looking for. And then I always keep a scrap paper off to the side, and I'm going to use that scrap paper to test my colors because the cap color and the color that's on the wheel is never the same. But the wheel is still super nice because it shows you what colors like are next to each other on the color wheel, which is really good for blending. So I generally just blend with 2 colors for most things. I'm a pretty simple colorer. I don't get too crazy with it because I'm still learning and it's still a little bit new to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my dark color, and I just kind of get the dark color in there, and I use this like little flicking motion. It's like my favorite coloring thing. And then I'm going to go over it again with the light color that I've chosen. And I'm going to do the leaves. You can see here just the dark down to the bottom, flicking up a little bit with the dark color, and then coming in with the light color. And again, oh, I'm just adding some more shadows because we're around this little teapot handle. And you can see why I so adamantly wanted the teapot to be completely cut out in the handle, because it allows the flowers to come up from behind the teapot, which I think just gives added depth and fun to my masking scene. And I'm going to go in with the light color and kind of just flick it up. And I'm going to do one more leaf. And you can see here how I do it. I just flick up with the dark and then go over it with the light, and I let them blend together. So I choose my colors first because these are water-based markers, and they dry really fast. So if you want them to blend together, you really need to kind of get right in there, have your colors picked. So now I'm going to go ahead and pick my pinks, and I'm actually going to pick a pink combination that I use quite a lot for a pink color. And if you look at the caps, they don't look like they would blend well together, but they blend really well together. So just for future reference, I always keep scrap paper beside me when I color. And so I'm just going to go in with this little flower, and I'm going to make it pink. I decided that I wanted the interior of this card, this part of my card that's framed in, I want it to be bright and vibrant. I like that I chose tea colors for the stenciled background. It adds some interest, and But then for this middle, I want some vibrant colors. So you see I did the pink and the green, and now I'm going to pull in these blues and aquas, and I'm going to use those for the teapot. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my teapot. So some of my teapot got cut off, or some of the cup got cut off because I moved my paper. So I'm left-handed. I keep my paper at funny angles. I turn it around all different directions. But I wanted you to be able to see my coloring, so I pulled my vid camera in. So the cup kind of lost. But you can see here that I am going ahead and using 3 colors for the teapot, mostly because I want to be able to have a nice highlight on that teapot. So I want to have a really nice white area where it looks like the sun would be, or the light would be kind of coming on it. And to get that effect, I'm using 3 colors. You can see my flicking motion again here. This is how I color. Pull the color through. I am going to end up using a bit of a blender pen on my teapot. Again, just because I started to get a little bit of streakiness going on, and I think it had something to do with the fact that I had 3 colors and not 2, and also just because it was a larger surface area. I find that when I color things with a larger surface area, especially people, sometimes I do end up with some streaky areas, and I'm still working on that. And my coloring is by no means perfect at all. I'm still practicing. I'm still learning how to do it. And I just have these Tombos. I've often thought about starting an alcohol marker collection, but right now it's just cost prohibitive. Not something I can afford to invest in right now. And so I just have my Tombow brush pens that I have been collecting for over a year. So I do have quite a few of them, but by no means do I have all of them. So now I have all my coloring done, the blues and the teacup. I thought about putting that gigantic sequin on there, but I decided to go with a couple of these blue colors. These are in the Boyish Charm collection from Spiegel Mom Scraps, and I'm going to fill in a little bit around my teapot just to kind of bump it up a little bit, add some sparkle. If you watch my channel a lot, you know, like there's sequins on everything I make. Doesn't matter. So I'm just going to glue those down with my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and then I'm going to add a little bit of zhuzh to my stamped images. You can see here that I have my glossy accents out, and I am going to grab my Wink of Stella clear pen, and I'm going to do Wink of Stella on the teapot and on the teacup to give it some fun dimension. And I will tell you, for me, a Wink of Stella does a lovely job also of kind of re-wetting those Tombow pens and kind of blending them out even more. And I always like both the shimmer and the shine as well as the additional blending. Now I'm going in with my tiny little glossy accents, and I am going to go ahead and do all the flowers and the leaves with the glossy accents. And then I let them dry overnight, put them in a flat paste and let them dry overnight to get some gorgeous shimmer, shine, and dimension to that part of my card. And that's going to finish this card off. Thank you so much for joining us today. Be sure to go over and check out Caitlin's video. I've seen her gorgeous card. She did this beautiful like stenciled heart background. Super cute. So make sure you check that out. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye.